The World Cup is back, and this time it is once again the T20 version of it. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to an episode of the Grandstand podcast. This time we're going to be featuring, or we're going to be talking about the T20 World Cup, which is played from the 16th of October to the 13th of November 2022 in Australia. And to speak about this, we have Randev. Randev, welcome to the show. Randev is an avid, and I mean avid, cricket fan. Randev, welcome and tell us a bit about yourself and
Thanks,
to
Kavya.
our audience as well.
Thanks, Kavya. Thanks, Abhishek, for having me. So glad to be on the show. I mean, it's an exciting time. Good for us Sri Lankans also to have some sort of a distraction, from everything that's going around. I
Yeah,
mean, if at all, we cricket has brought us together, but now I think it's an escape for everybody, forget about everything and enjoy the game at least for the next month. So yeah,
of
forget about your
course.
worries.
Of course. And we will be dividing this into two sections, which is Sri Lanka and the contenders. So basically, Sri Lanka versus the world. So stay tuned for that one. But now we will be talking about Sri Lanka. Let's get in straight into this episode. All right, so it's just going to be three of us, minus Shavin. Of course, Shavin couldn't make it because of time constraints. Abhishek is actually
Shavin is just hiding. He said because Verstappen won, Leclerc lost, and he's finally put out of his misery, but
yeah,
he's still sad. It'll take
really
some time,
sad
probably a few
time for
years to
Ferrari
recover.
fans, man.
Yeah, but yeah.
But stepping
Now
in for
our plans
him,
are with him. Yeah.
yes, stepping in for him is Randev. But um, Randev, so we have seen how Sri Lanka have fortune, or like they have gotten through, somehow they've gotten through the Asia Cup after having a 0% chance to win the Asia Cup, as per the predictions, after that dreadful start against Afghanistan in the opening match. But what has Sri Lanka learned from this closing Asia Cup, and what can we take forward? What needs to change as well? Oh shit, I got stuck. Oh. I said, let's get straight into it. Randev, Sri Lanka is on the back of a successful Asia Cup, and little did we know how we would have gotten through that Asia Cup after that dreadful start and having a 0% chance to win the Asia Cup. After that Afghanistan loss in the opening match. But what has Sri Lanka learned, and what can be changed? Now, of course, we aren't in the Asian subcontinent. We aren't in the Indian subcontinent. We have to adapt to Australian pitches, Australian conditions, and also, mind you, we are playing against the world, not Asia. So, what needs to be changed when we look at this World Cup for Sri Lanka?
I mean, something I think we can take away from the Asia Cup campaign is that, we have a stable team with good chemistry. I think that was something that we were lacking before, because it takes time to build a team, and, quite frankly, when we discarded a lot of seniors, and, when the team management and the selectors brought in young players, there was a lot of criticism, we threw away a lot of talent, a lot of experience, but I think we've come a long way as a team, because in terms of, like I said, stability and team chemistry. Dasun Chanaka wasn't a person who was a frontliner. He was not a person who was a marquee player, so to speak. But he's definitely been able to bring the team together, and that's a trend that we've seen with other world teams. If you take even when he came to England, when Owen Morgan did take up captaincy, he was not like a front runner per se, but he brought the team together, right? So I think having Shanaka as the captain has been one of the key factors in bringing us together. And right now, that confidence and that team chemistry is what's going to help us get over the line. Because at the end of the day, it's confidence is what matters. And last time we saw a bit of that confidence when we played the World Cup last year. And I think we were only like about a game away from qualifying semi-finals if the run rate worked for us. So the performance was promising. But now I think, we have the game exposure, we have the experience, and plus some of our players have played the IPL. So they have got that big match, big tournament kind of atmosphere, that experience as well. So I think we are pretty much ready, and I mean, it will be nice to see how it works out. Yeah.
Abhishek, would you like to add something to that, being a resident cricket analyst on the show?
Well, no, I think Randev summed it up brilliantly. I would say that if I would give a tag for this team, I would call it a team of comebacks. Because if you've seen this team and the way it has performed since Chris Silverwood has taken over, it's been a set of, like, if you take a series, you would check the first match, it would be a big loss or a loss where they let it go. But they've always managed to find a way to find a formula to come back and win. You have it with the Bangladesh series, you have it in the Australia series, and you have it in the Pakistan series. And you had it in full display at the Asia Cup. Because that Afghanistan loss was a bad one. It was a sour taste in the mouth for all Sri Lankans. And we really thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be another episode of us just not performing well. Dasun Shanaka is what many would call a leader of men. Not a person who would, he has the skill as well. I wouldn't say no. He's a brilliant finisher, a good batsman when he's on song. His average this year is crazy. It's out of this world. But more importantly, he's a leader of men. And Sri Lanka, throughout its history, have found more success. This is taking nothing away from the others, but they have found more success when they've had captains who are leaders of men. And I talk about Arjuna Rantunga, I talk about Mahela Javadana, the two most successful captains Sri Lanka has had. So Dasun Shanaka is that type of captain. He clearly, it's very inspirational to see the way he talks in the media and just the way he carries himself as a captain. He allows his players to shine. So Sri Lanka are in a very good place right now, and we are hoping for the best. Yes, it's different conditions to the Asia Cup. I personally wouldn't change a thing. Just get used to the conditions in Australia, but don't change a thing in what you're doing. So that's all I have to say.
Of course, I think taking a look at that squad, very balanced, like Randev mentioned, so balanced that I think it is the most balanced side we've had probably since 2011. Am I stretching it a bit?
Yeah, maybe. No, I would go to 2014, but yeah.
14.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course, being Sanga's and Mahela's last World Cup as well. But speaking about that, the reason why it may be balanced is because of our all-rounders, Chamika Karunaratne, Vanidu Hasranga making up that middle order. And also, that middle order is one of the best. I feel like it's one of the best in world cricket at this moment, because it won us an Asia Cup as well, right? It came clutch.
Yeah.
But speak to us, Randev, about that middle order. And does Danushka Gunatilaka get your pick to be in that?
Well, middle order, like you correctly pointed out, Chamik Karnaratne and Vanidu Hasaranga, they've been instrumental, right? We've always pictured Vanidu Hasaranga to come in and, bowl out the other team or, put up a stellar performance with the ball. But as of late, I think more has been expected of him to come and bat a few overs and, put the team on a more steady course. And we saw that in the final and of the Asia Cup, and we saw it in the warm-up game with Zimbabwe as well. So I think he has gotten on track with his batting, which is a good thing for us. Because if you take other leading world teams, they can bat up until like the 8th or the 9th man, right? Yeah. And that is absolutely needed going to a world stage. Even in the IPL or the Big Bash League, everybody can bat up till the 8th or 9th wicket. And now it has become a standard, right? So, like I said, Vanidu Hasaranga has definitely become a good all-rounder, and Chamik Karnaratne. I admire the man's passion and I admire his aggressive nature. You need that in the team, right?
Yes.
Trust me. This is not a knitting class, right? You don't go to and you don't okay, we come to play cricket. You have to be aggressive, right? And that's something we've been lacking in our team.
Bro, on Australian soil. We really need that to come up.
We've seen how our Sri Lankan seniors like Mahela and all of them going at Australians before, right? So we need that aggressiveness, right? They're not
Yeah.
going to come and mollycoddle us saying, "Oh, thank you for coming to Australia," right?
Yeah.
So we have to have that aggressiveness in us, and Charming Karnataka brings just that. And when he comes out to bat, he's confident, right? He's confident when he goes to bowl. He always wants to bowl. He wants to bat. He's confident in his ability. Regardless, he might fail sometimes. That's okay. That's the kind of confidence you need the dressing room also. That's the kind of energy that goes through the team. So the middle order in that sense is sorted. I think I don't have a doubt because at least the confidence is what keeps the team going, and that's a good thing. But about Danushka Gunatilaka, my opinion is this: he likes to take the bull by the horns, somewhat like Bhanuka Rajapaksa, right? But what has happened is he's fish out of water in his position, and he has not really performed per se. I mean, sure, he got a few scores in the Asia Cup, but he didn't really pitch in when it was really needed. You could argue saying, okay, our lower middle order got more experience, etc. But there's batsman is there for a reason, right? So I mean, we could move, replacing him, or bringing in someone like Dhananjay or Asalanka, just to fill his spot. But it's something that we need to consider, because at the end of the day, we don't want players being there just for the sake of being there, right? We need players who can hit. This is a T20 game. It's fast paced. You need versatility as well, and in compared to players like Dhananjay De Silva, Danush Gunatilaka's bowling record is, I mean, I don't know whether it's good or bad, but he certainly hasn't like put up like a proper bowling performance. So it's a slot that we need to consider, because I feel like that might be like the loose point in our batting lineup as well. Because the thing with T20 cricket is its momentum, right? Now in Test cricket, okay, you lose a wicket, you can always hold the fort. You pull down anchor, you hold down a few overs, you get the momentum. T20 is super fast, right? You feel the innings finishes in about 1.5 hours.
Yeah.
So it keeps moving. It's absolutely fast, and you can't have a wicket suddenly falling. It just brings the whole thing down. So something to consider very strongly. But yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah. Also, a player that has been making quiet shockwaves, should I say, is Pathum Nisanka, who has been working his head off at the top of that batting order and has been playing quite well. Did you really recognize him as a T20 batsman, Randev?
Yeah, to be honest, not really, because I mean I had my doubts, right? But the thing is, something that I think a lot of other T20 teams are also focusing on is having an anchor at the top, because something that can happen very quickly with T20 cricket, like I said earlier, the wickets can fall fast, right? And what Pathum Nisanka has proven over time is he can hold the fort, and then after the 15th over, his strike rate goes from about 108 or 9 to 140. He can really accelerate throughout those last overs. So what he has been doing rather is he allows the other player to shine, right? And then when the loose ball comes, he just pummels it, right? So he takes a full advantage of it, and that's why he has been. I think he's world number 6 or 7 in the
Eight, yeah.
rankings, right?
Eight, if I'm not
Yeah, 8.
mistaken.
So,
but
yeah, but my point is, like, if you take that list, it's all pinch hitters on that list, right?
yeah,
So the other one that I would mark somewhat similar to Pathum Nisanka is Aiden Markram, right?
yes,
Similar
me too.
style. He holds back, he looks for the loose ball, he goes for it, and then towards the latter end of the innings, he accelerates. Something similar he did with Sunrisers during the IPL this year. So Pathum Nisanka, definitely, I think Chris Silverwood knows absolutely what he's doing when he knew to put Pathum Nisanka up top. We need that anchor, we need that stability, because Sri Lanka team, we know, we have this thing where, when one wicket falls, everything falls. We've seen this, right? We've seen this
130,
way too many
131
times,
for
right?
1, 142 for 9.
Yeah,
131 for 1,
right.
142.
Yeah, we've seen this before, right? We've seen this before, and then you go to the washroom, you're back, and okay,
Yeah,
the
bro,
batting
I was
order has
just about
collapsed,
to say.
right?
You go to the washroom, you come back, the other team has won the game.
Yeah, it's done, right? So we've
Oh
seen
my
this
gosh.
before, and thankfully it's not happening anymore, right? So definitely, I mean, he has been a surprise package, and I think he's a player who has good technique. He's good footwork, and he has a good head on his shoulders. You know what I mean? He's not brash. He picks the spot, and he allows the other batsman to play his own game.
Yeah.
Because you see, Kusal Mendes is able to accelerate. After Kusal Mendes, usually Asalanka or whoever comes, he gives them the opportunity to play, and then he just takes a back seat. And when he gets the loose ball, he just goes for it. So I think he's excellent. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I underestimated his ability to be in the team. I mean, for a long time. I mean, if you watch IPL, right, you don't get players who anchor the team. You either
Yeah.
go big or you go home, right?
Yeah.
And this is why probably he was not picked for the IPL auction, right, in the first draft or the final draft, right? But I think he will be a value addition to whichever LPL team he has been drafted to. But in
He
Sri
wasn't
Lanka's
drafted for the
perspective,
LPL. That was another sad story. Like the
yeah, and
number
it was
8
another
batsman
sad
in the
story. Yeah,
world.
exactly.
Honestly,
Yeah,
In our
yeah,
own league,
and it was
it's pathetic. That story is
it's
pathetic,
but
in my
yeah,
opinion.
absolutely, yeah, yeah. I was also like, you know, most of these league games, I think the teams are looking for marquee players, right? They want the big names, right? If you take Andre Russell, big name but bad form as of late, right?
Yes, of course.
So it's I mean, world cricket has come to this stage where they look for the big names, but the big names can't perform anymore, right?
Yeah.
I can't. I know this is controversial, but like Ben Stokes has not been performing, right?
yeah.
But he got a place over Harry Brooks, who was playing extremely well for England, right? So Harry Brooks got cut from the team. Ben Stokes is in. Ben,
Yeah.
ben Stokes brings in experience. There's no dispute about it, but it's something to think about. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's true.
Absolutely.
But I was
Yeah.
going to say, Kavinka, that I don't think you needed me for this episode because everything which I was thinking about, Randev has put forward. I was
Actually,
thinking of
yeah.
two things I wanted to tell. Two things I was going to say was about Chris Silverwood and his performance as a coach, and
Mhm.
and about Kusal Mendes, because Kusal Mendes has had that freedom, that lease of freedom to perform, because that's more his game. I think he's kind of rediscovered himself as an aggressive batsman, and it's helped him with his form, and that's because of Nisanka. And I was going to keep it for later, but since Rande brought it up, I think Chris Silverwood deserves a lot of praise because he's coming into this job under a lot of pressure because he was sacked from England. He had a bad time there. England weren't performing great. So he had the reputation, but he didn't have the results when he came to the Sri Lankan
Yeah.
fold. And that was that outcry about the fact that Sri Lanka, it's still a mistake. I wouldn't back down from that. Obviously, we didn't have too many repercussions from it, but getting rid of Mickey Arthur after he had built that team was a mistake, in my opinion. We've not suffered because Chris Silverwood has performed, but that was a mistake. But yeah, he's taken up the role and he's performed really well. So kudos to him as well. So yeah.
Yeah. We've spoken about batting a lot now, but who are your pick of the bowlers from the Sri Lankan side for the World Cup? Because we've had some rash bowling in the past few matches, but
Yeah.
somehow we
Yeah.
saved it. But your pick of the bowlers, who do you think is going to shine from this one?
I think, I mean, look, Chamira is bringing in experience, right? So, I mean, he's definitely going to be the top pick. I mean, regardless of whether I pick him or not, he's definitely going to go in. The point is, Chamira has not been bowling as much. He's coming out of a surgery. He's coming out of rehab. He
That's
played
true.
the warm-up game, but went for a few runs, right? But in comparison, Dilshan Madhushank has been bowling really well. He's a left-arm pacey. We need that right-arm, left-arm combination. We've not had a proper left-arm pacer for a while now, right? And I think that's something what we were lacking for a long time. I think we haven't had a good one since Chamin Davas. So perhaps this is a starting point, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, he has had he has had Asia Cup experience, so that's a good thing. But we'll see. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily play Chamira just because he has experience and and that sort of thing. Because at the end of the day, you need form as well. So if Chamira is going for runs, we have to switch up, right? And Australian pitchers are all about pace, right? The ball skids on really fast, right? You have to be absolutely sure. Now, if you are going to use Lahiru Kumara, he's fast, no doubt, right?
Yeah.
But is he going to hold his line and length, which has not been the case before, is a question. You
He's
can
called Gas
intimidate
Man, right?
he's called Gas Man, right? So
Yeah.
in a country that did not have gas a few months ago.
Yeah.
But my point, right? Right.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is we
Oh my
if we
gosh.
can bowl the proper line and length, good, right? Because the last thing we need is a bowler who's bowling here, there, and everywhere. Because the thing is this, right? You can scare countries like Ireland, Netherlands, UAE with that pace. We saw that last time in the qualifiers as well, right? The pace was too much for them, right? And that was in UAE pitches, right? That was in Dubai. So just imagine what he can do on Australian pitches where the ball will skid so fast. But the question lies, can he do that with the teams like Australia, England? He can't, because they know exactly how the conditions work. They're well accustomed, and anything out of the usual line will, end up out of the park. So, Lahiru Kumara I mean, it's like having a firecracker at hand. So it's very unpredictable. It will work, it will not work. It's a gamble.
Yeah.
But in terms of fast bowlers, I think definitely we should go in for Chamira. We should start with him because he has experience, and go with Lahir Madhushanka because we need that right left arm combination. But yeah, I mean, we have Pramod Madhushan as a backup. I think he performed really well at the Asia Cup final as well. But does he have enough exposure to play on those pitches? Is a question, because at the end of the day, you need a bowler who can bowl those death overs as well. And Chamira has proven to bowl those death overs pretty well. So I think death overs is also something we'll need to consider, because now with World Cricket, death bowling is a different specialty altogether, right? So
Yeah.
but yeah,
Absolutely.
that's my take on the pace bowlers. About spinners, right? I think Manido Hasaranga, Mahesh Theekshana, more of a mainstay, right? I don't think why we should. There's no reason why we should switch that up. I mean, it's a mainstay, right? I mean, it's a given. But if you are looking for that extra spin attack, I feel Dhananjay De Silva, if we do play him, it's definitely an option. He proved that he can bowl under a situation where there's a lot of pressure in order to slow down the opposition's innings. But I feel like if Charith Asalanka is going to play in this team, he should chip in with the ball, because that's if Sri Lanka decides to play Dhanushka Gunatilaga, and we are given the option of playing either Asalanka or Dhananjay De Silva. Because see, Dhanushka Gunatilaga does not bowl, right? At least he does, but at least at national level he has not, or at international level. So in that instance, if we are going to play Asalanka over Dhananjay, then Asalanka will need to improve his bowling or whatever. Because see, we need those bowling options. And while Australia is a more pace-friendly pitched country, the question lies, should we be stuck for bowling options? So, I mean, like I said, Theekshana and Hasaranga are mainstay, but I mean, in the event anything goes wrong, we can switch up for Jeffrey Van der Sar, but I don't see that happening unless like somebody gets injured. So, I mean, that's a mainstay, right? And if you take grounds like the MCG, Rispin has like a good average,
Yeah.
and surprisingly, pace has gone for more. Respin and finger spin at the MCG has very favorable figures. I think 7 runs per over, where pace has about 8 or 9. So uh, yeah, having spin, I mean, that combination is important.
And just to add to that, I think another aspect that you have to look at is the fact that you are going to have batsmen taking a cautious approach towards both Hasaranga and Mahesh Theekshana, because right now they're bowling at a really high level and they are wicket-taking options, and there are people who can derail an opposition and derail their momentum. So you've seen that in quite a few instances where they look to play out both Wanindu and Mahesh Theekshana. Sometimes they if they back themselves, yes, they try to go after them, but more or less you've seen batsmen taking a cautious approach because they know there's that fifth bowler coming in to just fill up the overs, and their target is to go after them. So you need to have a fifth bowler who is used to those conditions, used to that pressure, just like Randev told. And for me, Dhananjay is the perfect option because he's bowled in that kind of situation on numerous occasions. You take the World Cup in 2019 against England. You take the Asia Cup recently. He bowled brilliantly. So if we're looking for that third spin option, for me, we will get to that later as to who I think should play for the team. But I think to have just an extra spin option, Dhananjay De Silva is the best option we have. And with that, you're getting his batting as well. So just another thing to add, because right now we've seen that teams are looking to be more cautious with Wanindu and Mahesh Theekshana because they have that experience. They have like Randev said, Mahesh Theekshana playing the IPL, so as Wanindu Hasaranga, he's on fire right now. So just for that reason, I would say you need to have a good fifth bowler, fifth bowler, six bowling option, especially with the spin bowler. And for me, that person is Dhananjay De Silva. So that's my take as well.
Just to add to what Abhishek said, I mean, we are playing at Kardinia Park, I think that's in Geelong, right? So those grounds are small, right? And any missing length, spinners will be, I mean, it's very easy to hit the spinners, right? And those tracks don't spin as well as in the subcontinent. So we need to be absolutely careful. The only good thing is the last time we played in that ground, we won. And I think that was when Asela Gunaratne hit those winning runs. So it's a good memory to have playing in.
Yes, for sure.
That was 5 or 4 years ago, but still fresh in my memory. Yeah.
It was a crazy series and super. Anyway. Kanka, you can continue.
Anyway.
There's nothing more. Nothing more to add to that.
Anyway, yeah. No, it's not that I lost concentration, but I was like listening, and then you were like, anyway.
Anyway, moving on.
Moving on. Yes. That's the key word. Harish gave this, by the way. Shout out to Harish, by the way. Our editor, for doing a wonderful job on our episodes in the recent few months. But moving on to the world, what is Sri Lanka who is Sri Lanka facing? Boys, give me your quick, like, 3 of the sides that Sri Lanka should be wary of.
Okay, I'm going to just add before Randev says. Okay. It might be very controversial, and the people who watch this might think this guy doesn't know anything about cricket. But I'm just going to say, right now, for me, there's no favorite in this World Cup because all teams are not playing well. They are not at their level, at the level they need to be, in my opinion.
Not even
for
Australia?
Me, not even Australia. In my opinion, Australia got thrashed by England in the series,
yesterday.
In the recent series.
Yeah.
England don't know. England, don't get me wrong. If they work things out, like there are some proper teams, okay. Mm-hmm. But my opinion is that right now, no one's at their best. Is what I feel. So I feel it's more of an open World Cup, in my opinion. People might disagree. I don't know what Randev thinks. He might disagree. I'm just going to put it out. England, they're also not probably comfortable with their lineup. India, they are probably the most strongest team because of their whole IPL experience. Their squad depth, they've got everything sorted. But there too, they have a few conundrums, if I would say, as to who would play. Kohli's form. Kohli has come back to form, but they have some questions here and there, and you don't know what you're going to get from Pakistan. I should mention Pakistan as well. Pakistan have a good team, but again, they are worried with Babar Azam's form as well. Then you don't know what you're going to get from New Zealand and South Africa. So this is an open World Cup, in my opinion. There is no clear. Australia might be the favorites because they're champions and they're at home, but for me, it's an open World Cup. That's what I would say.
Okay, so there's no top 3 for you.
No.
Randev, what about you?
Yeah.
I'll start with Australia, right? I mean, look, Australia's fielding has been appalling. Their fielding has been a disaster in the England series, right? Right? I mean, you think about Australia and you instantly think fielding is on point. And I'll tell you this, right now, the world's best two fielding teams, I'll tell you without prejudice, is New Zealand and Sri Lanka.
Of course,
Our fielding
100%.
has been excellent, and New Zealand never drop a catch. I can tell you that, right? KM Williamson will never drop a skyer, however much high the ball may go, right? Their fielding is on point, and surprisingly, Sri Lanka have started to take catches like close cup. We never used to take catches like this. All in the subcontinent, the teams are taught to catch the ball like this, right? We never take cup style. I mean, India has tried it so many times and they have failed at it, right? But surprisingly now, if you see Pathum Nissank always takes the ball like this, right? And our fielding has been excellent. I mean, you saw the Asia Cup, right? And I think they are keeping Ashen Bandara in the team just for his fielding. I think as soon as our player is tired, and you just put them there, and they are just there for the fielding. That's it. Ashen Bandar came into the fielding on the Asia Cup final, walked away with $1 million, right?
Yes,
so just that one catch, and that was it. Right? He's in the team for his fielding. But yeah, as I was saying, Australia, they will need to pick up on their fielding. I mean, even so to speak, I mean, Aaron Finch is their captain, but he's not scoring well either, right? Yeah, Australia it's a mixed bag with Australia. You know, sometimes they will perform. I mean, people say Matthew Wade is a really good, you know, he's a really good finisher and all that, but it's temperamental. It's not permanent, right? So Australia has, from what they were, I think they are a little bit unstable this time because Marcus Stoinis is still recovering, right? And Mitchell Marsh I think he spends more time on the bench than actually playing because he's injured most of the time, right? But talking about India though, India is going into the World Cup without Bumrah, right? That's a big negative point. Yeah,
I totally forgot about that.
Negative.
Very good.
Yeah, I mean, they are going in without Bumrah. That's a big negative point, and I think they have replaced Bumrah with Siraj, I think, which is good. I mean, Siraj is not a bad bowler, but you know, you're missing out on Bumrah. It's not a comparable point, right? But like Abhishek said, even they're not performing well. They dropped catches in their earlier tour, right? Fielding, I think, has been a key downfall for most teams. I think that's important to point out because, like everybody says, you know, catches mean matches, right? And good fielding saves runs and, you know, takes a wicket, right? So it's important to have a good fielding side as well. But yeah, I mean, it's open. I should say South Africa might put up a show. We don't know, right? South Africa loves to come to semi-finals and then just drop out, right? So they could make a surprise entry. But I don't know. Maybe this is controversial. I don't see India going a long way for the simple reason that I think they lack maturity in that team. I think India is the sort of team that has too many stars. Right, and when you have too many stars in a team, it's a problem, right? It's like, I'm sorry I had to bring in a football reference, but like when I was small, I used to play FIFA, right? I used to play FIFA on my PSP, and then I used to edit the game so I have all the star players in it, right? So like there are all strikers in that team.
That's the typical way of a football FIFA manager on FIFA manager mode. That's what
right. So all are strikers in the team apart from the goalie. Right. So if the ball does cross on to the other side, oh no, you're dead because none of them can like defend for their life, right? So I think that's the problem with the Indian team, right? They've got Rohit Sharma, a star on his own. You've got Kohli, you've got Surya Kumar Yadav, right? All those are individually their stars. But if you go into the IPL, they are stars in their individual teams because it's a mix. They have gotten a star-studded team, right? But I feel like there's no team chemistry there. This is something that I feel, you know, and I think that is somewhere that we have capitalized on. We have stars, but it's a good mix. It's definitely a good mix. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see how it will work out because I mean, I think for now, I mean, if Shaheen Afridi does come in from rehab and if he's properly bowling to his full potential, I think Pakistan is a really good bowling attack. I mean, Haris Rao, they're two excellent bowlers right now, right? Top of their form. So we'll see. But if you want my top picks, I think I would go with New Zealand because I think they have still a lot to offer. They are a very mature team. New Zealand and I would say South Africa. I think South Africa is a good team as well. And yeah, I will definitely throw Sri Lanka in. I mean, I'll put my
Yeah,
money on Sri Lanka because yeah,
sure.
because I don't believe in West Indies. West Indies is that one wild card. They will just come out of nowhere and they will just they can't even clinch the trophy. But they told Shimron Hetmeyer to stay at home because he missed his flight. Right? He missed his flight and
How
West
do you know
Indies
that
dropped him.
story?
They told him to stay. Yeah, right. No, he missed his flight. Right to Australia,
Okay.
he missed his flight, and West Indies told, you know what, you can stay at home.
Oh,
Right?
wow.
So they discussed. Right? I think they're pretty big on establishing good team and good team discipline, which is important.
Yeah,
So they've got a new captain. I mean, they're also rebuilding, right? I think they also don't have like a lot of stars per se. They've got Nicholas Puran, yes, right? They've
yes.
got Sheldon Cottrell, but they've got young players coming in like Akin Hussain. They're good bowlers, so they're at a rebuilding stage. I think we can look out for them at the next World Cup, but I think they're still at a building stage for now. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Okay,
think I
Kanik,
spoke too much, but
if you want my top three, I mean, it's honestly really tough for me. I can't pick out anyone, but I want to put Sri Lanka because I think they are I don't want to say they are the team that looks more gelled, but and I don't know, we have to see. But if you want to put two others, I'll just throw I don't know, probably England. I don't know, might
Mhm.
be just putting out there. I don't know, might be completely wrong.
I was
And
thinking England, yeah. And
no, because England are not they're not playing well in my opinion. Like they've had too many questions. That's I mean they might win games, but it's just the way you play the game and the way
yeah,
you go about it. And for me, I don't see it in England. But who knows? It's a world tournament. They might come alive.
yeah.
yeah.
And just finally, who do I put? The third team I would put, I just want to back up Randev and say South Africa will be a very interesting team to watch because you don't know what you're going to get from them, but they have a pretty decent team and they've shown signs. So, like Randev said, they like to come to semifinals and lose. I think South Africa should. I mean, they will be interesting to watch in my opinion. But I'm going to stick by what I said first. No team is an outstanding favorite for this World Cup. I
All
just
right.
believe that.
I think we have our opinions gathered, and there's only one way to find out. Namibia takes on Sri Lanka in the opening group stage match uh, in the opening World Cup match on
Yeah.
Sunday. That is Sunday morning for Sri Lankans. So stay tuned for that match. Randev, thank you very much for coming on to the show. Of course, we'll be keeping in touch with you throughout the tournament. But from everyone here at the grandstand, that is Abhishek and of course the absent Shavin, enjoy this tournament because of course the next time this will come around is in about 2 years' time. That is if another
Yeah.
COVID pandemic or zombie apocalypse does not happen. But yes,
Yeah.
enjoy. Randev, thank you very much for coming onto the show.
Thank you so much, guys. Thanks, Kavinko. Thanks, Abhishek, for having me. Pleasure.
For sure.
Of course. And that is it from the Grandstand Podcast. Myself, Kavinka, Abhishek, and our guest for this show, Randev. It's been a pleasure having you on the show. And you know what? Take care and enjoy this one. Peace. Nice.